Welcome to another deep dive with My Mind Mashups. Today we're jumping into two really huge forces that are reshaping our world as we speak. We're talking artificial intelligence in education and also the whole evolution of remote and hybrid work.
Yeah.
And these aren't just separate trends, right? They're deeply connected, influencing each other, changing how we learn, how we work, how we connect. It's fundamental stuff. Our mission, like always, is to sift through everything out there, pull out the key nuggets of knowledge from our sources, and basically give you a shortcut to being really well informed. And helping us navigate all this, we've got our expert guide who's brilliant at pulling together the information and seeing how it all connects.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a fascinating territory, and understanding the bigger picture here beyond just the tech itself is so important for everyone, I think.
Totally agree. Now, before we dive in, if you find this valuable, please do hit that like button, maybe share it, and definitely subscribe or follow My Mind Mashups wherever you're listening. Okay, let's get started. So, let's begin in the classroom. AI, it used to feel pretty futuristic, but now it's really changing how students learn day to day. What's the biggest shift you're seeing?
Well, I think the most profound change is probably personalized learning. I mean, picture a classroom where every single student gets a curriculum that's tailored just for them, adapted to their learning style, their pace, how they're doing. AI platforms are making that real. You see tools like Dreambox, Smart Sparrow, they're adjusting math or reading exercises on the fly. And the results, our sources show it can boost student performance pretty significantly, like up to 30%, and kids seem more engaged too. It really makes that old one-size-fits-all approach feel dated.
Wow, 30%, that's huge. It's a world away from traditional teaching. What about like direct help for students, almost like a virtual tutor?
Exactly. That's where intelligent tutoring systems, or ITES, come in. They're evolving fast. Think of something like Carnegie Learning's Methia. These systems act like a virtual one-on-one guide. They can figure out where a student is struggling, give immediate feedback, and they're available 24/7, which is massive, especially maybe for kids in areas without many resources. And the tech behind them, natural language processing, it's getting so good they feel really conversational.
A personal tutor on demand, that's pretty amazing. And for the teachers, all that time spent grading. Is AI chipping in there?
Oh, absolutely. Automated grading tools are a big one. They use machine learning now to grade not just multiple choice, but even some written work. You have platforms like Gradescope. Reports suggest teachers are saving, maybe 20% to 40% of their grading time.
20 to 40%.
Yeah, it's significant. And it's not just about saving time, right? It means they can actually focus more on teaching, on mentoring, on those human connections that really count.
That must free them up tremendously. Okay, beyond grading and tutoring, how is AI helping schools look ahead, be more proactive about student success?
That's where predictive analytics comes into play. AI crunches student data, things like attendance, grades to spot students who might be at risk of, falling behind or even dropping out. They call them early warning systems. They flag potential issues so the school can step in early. We're seeing higher education institutions using these, and some have seen retention rates jump by like 15 points. It's about catching problems before they snowball.
Okay, so AI is definitely streamlining things, making education more responsive, but let's talk about the students themselves. What's the psychological impact of spending more time with AI? Is there a downside to all this tech?
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. There are real benefits. On one hand, tools like ChatGPT, some studies link them to students feeling happier, less stressed about academics because they get instant help. Personalized pacing also helps, less frustration, more confidence, and we're even seeing chatbots used for mental health support. Quick, accessible help, which can be vital.
Those are definite pluses. What about the other side of the coin? The concerns. I mean, constant screen time, being evaluated by algorithms. That sounds stressful.
You're right. Digital fatigue, technostress, these are very real. Just too much screen time is a big factor. And anxiety around new tech, especially if students aren't properly supported, that can impact mental health. Then there's the anxiety from, like you said, algorithmic assessment. Research does show a moderate link between AI learning and student anxiety. It could be the constant feedback or maybe knowing how much data is being collected about them. Privacy is a big concern there.
Data privacy.
Yeah.
What about social skills? If AI becomes the main point of interaction for some things.
That's a potential issue too. If students rely too heavily on AI, especially for things like communication practice, it could reduce their real-world social interactions. That might hinder, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, could even lead to feeling more isolated if AI starts replacing human connection. And just the mental effort of constantly processing AI-generated info, that can add up to cognitive load if it's not managed.
So how do we deal with these psychological challenges? How do we make sure AI helps, not hurts, student well-being?
I think a big part is fostering what some sources call a culture of care and open dialogue. Educators need to talk openly with students about these tools, set clear expectations, be transparent about how things like proctoring software work. That builds trust. And, critically important, promoting balanced tech use. Clear screen time guidelines, encouraging breaks, pushing offline activities. It's about finding that balance.
Right, balance is key. Now let's think about the teachers. Their world is changing too. How are their roles shifting, and what are the big challenges for them?
It's a fundamental shift. They're moving away from just being the source of knowledge, the sort of sage on the stage, towards being more like facilitators, mentors, guides. AI takes over some routine stuff, grading, admin, data tracking. This ideally frees them up for the high-value interactions, designing learning experiences, fostering social-emotional growth, providing that human support AI can't.
That sounds positive, like an opportunity for more meaningful teaching. But I bet it comes with its own hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. A really big one is just lack of adequate training and support from institutions. Many teachers feel thrown into it, which causes technostress, maybe a feeling of losing control over their classroom or craft. There's also sometimes a fear that AI might diminish their role, their professional autonomy. And ironically, if it's not implemented well, AI can actually increase workload and stress. Trying to manage multiple new platforms, dealing with tech issues, it can lead to fatigue.
And beyond the individual teacher's experience, integrating AI throws up some bigger ethical questions, doesn't it? Especially around fairness, equity.
Yes, huge questions. Algorithmic bias is a major concern. If the AI is trained on biased data, and that's a real risk, it can end up perpetuating existing inequalities. You could see scenarios where it might unintentionally disadvantage low-income students or minority students, maybe guiding them towards lower achievement paths if we're not incredibly careful.
That's worrying.
It is. Then there's data privacy and surveillance again. These AI systems collect enormous amounts of student data. That raises serious questions about who sees it, how it's used, how secure it is. And finally, the digital divide looms large here too. Access to the best AI tools often depends on how well-funded a school is. That just widens the gap between the haves and have-nots.
So teachers are really caught in the middle, on the front lines of figuring out the ethics.
They really are. They're grappling with bias, privacy, equity, often without enough training or clear guidance from the top. It just underscores how much we need comprehensive professional development that covers not just how to use the tech, but the critical thinking around AI ethics. Because without very careful management, there's a real danger AI could actually make inequalities worse, not better.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Let's pivot to the world of work. Remote work just exploded over the past few years. Was that purely the pandemic, or was this shift already happening?
The pandemic was definitely the big catalyst, no doubt. But really, it just slammed the accelerator on trends that were already bubbling up: more digitalization, better connectivity. By spring 2024, remote work was pretty standard. Figures suggest around 13% fully remote, maybe 26% doing hybrid. And interestingly, hybrid seems to be what most people prefer now.
So it's definitely sticking around, not just a blip. What were the key things that made this massive shift actually possible?
Well, technology is obviously number one. AI and automation are helping streamline remote processes, things like project management, even communication tools that can do real-time translation or analyze team sentiment. We're even seeing predictions about VR and AR becoming significant for remote collaboration by 2025. Imagine immersive virtual meetings.
Wow.
Yeah, and just robust remote access, cloud computing, those became essential plumbing for it all to work securely and smoothly.
And beyond the tech itself, what about changes in society or how we think about work?
Big shifts there, too. Geography just isn't the barrier it once was. Companies can tap into talent pools literally anywhere in the world. And flexibility, that's become huge. It's often more important than pay for many workers now. One source said 78% see it as a very important factor in a job.
78%, really?
Yeah. And that flexibility has real benefits for groups who faced barriers before, like working mothers maybe. Plus, companies can potentially save on office costs, and there are environmental benefits too, less commuting.
Sounds like a lot of positives. I imagine it's not all smooth sailing. Working from home, maybe in pajamas.
Yeah.
What are the mental health downsides that have popped up?
Yeah, definitely not all sunshine. Isolation and loneliness are probably the biggest issues we're hearing about. Some studies show like 21% of remote workers report feeling lonely compared to maybe 8% of office workers. You miss those casual chats, the spontaneous interactions. It can hit relationships. Younger workers, new hires seem particularly vulnerable.
That makes sense. Those little interactions add up.
Another really common challenge is the blurring of boundaries. Work life and home life just bleed into each other. People often end up working longer hours, finding it hard to switch off. One survey found almost a third of remote workers struggle to unplug. It leads to that always-on feeling, burnout, anxiety.
Always on, yeah. And just staring at a screen all day must take a toll too.
It absolutely does. All that screen time contributes to physical stuff like eye strain, headaches. And it often means people are less physically active, which isn't great for mental health either.
So what can companies and individuals do? How do you manage these mental health risks and actually support well-being?
Organizations really have to prioritize it. That means actively promoting work-life balance, encouraging clear boundaries around work hours and screen time, pushing people to take breaks and do offline stuff. Interestingly, AI might even help here, like forecasting workload spikes to prevent people getting overloaded. And fostering connection intentionally is key. Setting up virtual social spaces, maybe offering co-working space access. Regular meaningful check-ins from managers are super important too, just to combat that isolation.
Okay, so managing individual well-being is crucial. What about how teams actually function together when they're distributed? How does remote work affect collaboration?
Yeah, collaboration is obviously vital, but remote setups bring unique challenges. Communication gaps are a big one. Misinterpretations happen more easily over text or email. This can really slow things down, cause frustration, stress, and sometimes communication isn't even, like managers might share info faster with people in the office, leaving remote folks out of the loop.
Right, and building trust must be trickier when you're not physically together.
Much trickier. And trust is even more essential in remote teams because you don't have those visual cues or easy check-ins. Low trust just grinds everything to a halt. And maybe one of the trickiest issues is something called proximity bias.
Proximity bias, what's that exactly?
There's this unconscious tendency for managers to, well, favor the employees they see in person more often.
Okay.
It can lead to remote workers getting overlooked for interesting projects, maybe fewer development opportunities, even potentially biased performance reviews. It's a real threat to fairness in hybrid environments if you're not actively fighting it.
That sounds like a major equity issue.
Yeah.
So what strategies can teams use to actually collaborate effectively and avoid these pitfalls?
Clear communication protocols are job one. Like guidelines on when to use email versus chat versus video calls, setting expectations for response times, having dedicated channels for specific topics. Investing in good digital tools is also essential. Project management software, video conferencing that works well, cloud storage, maybe workflow automation. AI can actually enhance meetings too, with summaries or transcriptions, then making meetings truly inclusive. Maybe a remote-first mindset where everyone joins via video, even if some are in the office. Shared calendars, rotating meeting times for different zones, recording sessions, and focusing on outcomes, not just hours worked. Measuring performance based on results and KPIs supports that flexibility and holds everyone accountable fairly.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit again.
Yeah.
What are some of the bigger ethical questions remote work forces us to confront?
Well, employee monitoring is a huge one. That tension between privacy and productivity. Tracking remote workers' activity raises really significant ethical flags. Employees can feel constantly watched, which erodes trust. There's even this surveillance paradox. Trying too hard to monitor productivity can actually make people less engaged. If you are going to monitor, it has to be for a legitimate reason, ideally with clear consent, very specific and transparent policies about what's tracked and why, and applied consistently.
And we talked about proximity bias as a fairness issue.
Yeah.
That feels like a core ethical dilemma here too.
Definitely. Fairness and bias are critical. Proximity bias, as we said, can really disadvantage remote workers if managers aren't trained to recognize and counter it. It requires active effort and using location-independent metrics for evaluation.
What about security? With everyone on their home Wi-Fi, that must keep IT departments up at night.
Oh, absolutely. Data security is a massive challenge. You've got risks from unsecured home networks, people using personal devices, weak passwords, increased vulnerability to phishing scams. Mitigating that requires a multi-layered approach, encouraging strong home network security, providing secure company devices, lots of cybersecurity training, mandating VPN use, multi-factor authentication. It's a constant battle.
So listening to all this, the challenges in AI education, the issues in remote work, It feels like there's a common thread, a really big ethical challenge underneath both. What connects these two transformations at the deepest level?
I think you're right. The single biggest ethical challenge underlying both, the one that really connects them, is the digital divide. It's that gap, right, between people and communities who have reliable access to digital tech, good internet, decent devices, and those who don't. It's often tied to geography, income, education level.
And the consequences of that gap when everything is moving online or being powered by AI.
They're huge. If you don't have reliable access or the skills to use the tech, you're shut out. Shut out of remote job opportunities, shut out of the benefits of AI and learning. And this hits low-income communities, marginalized groups, rural areas hardest. It just reinforces existing inequalities. It slows down economic growth for everyone. It makes society less resilient. And it's not just about access either. It's about digital literacy too, knowing how to use these tools effectively and safely. The bottom line is, without deliberate interventions to close this gap, technology like AI and remote work capabilities will almost certainly make societal inequalities worse.
Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. Looking at AI and education and remote work together, what are the really big takeaways?
I think the core takeaway is that both of these shifts are truly monumental advancements. They unlock incredible opportunities, personalization and learning, efficiency gains, flexibility in how and where we work, potentially greater access to resources.
And it's a big but. They also bring really significant challenges. Psychological, social, ethical.
Exactly. We've talked about the anxiety, the isolation, the burnout risk for individuals. And the systemic risks, algorithmic bias, data privacy issues, and that pervasive digital divide threatening to deepen inequalities. The real tension, the challenge for all of us, is figuring out how to harness all the power of this technology while making sure we protect human well-being and ensure things are fundamentally fair.
So it really prompts the question, is the future about technology replacing people?
No, I really don't think so, or at least it shouldn't be. The future we should be aiming for is one where technology augments human capabilities. It doesn't replace them. In fact, in a world with more AI and remote work, the uniquely human things, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, creativity, genuine connection, they actually become more valuable, not less. Teachers shift to being mentors. Workplaces have to consciously cultivate human connection. It really has to be a human-centered approach to both AI and remote work. Success depends on putting people, well-being, connection, and ethics first.
So for everyone listening, what's the takeaway message? What's the call to action here?
I think the main thing is that this transformation demands we all keep learning and adapting. Individuals, schools, companies, policymakers. Lifelong learning isn't just a buzzword anymore, it's essential. We constantly need to update our skills for this changing landscape. And crucially, as a society, we have to invest seriously in digital literacy for everyone and in building robust infrastructure to finally close that digital divide. It's not just practical, it's really a matter of social justice. Ultimately, the goal shouldn't just be adopting tech. It should be using these tools thoughtfully to build learning and working environments that are richer, more responsive, and truly more equitable for everybody. The future isn't predetermined by the technology. It's something we build together, right? A mix of human ingenuity and tech potential, guided by our values and what we want human flourishing to look like.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. A collaborative creation. Thank you so much for breaking all that down for us. It's complex, but so important. And a huge thank you to you, our listener, for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this valuable, please do remember to like, share it with someone who might be interested, and subscribe or follow My Mind Mashups for more deep dives like this one. You can find My Mind Mashups on Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and YouTube. Until next time.